Toronto is ranked 5th globally, meaning worldwide, as most likely to have a housing bubble. Yeah, this is an annual report that comes out from UBS, and I'm gonna tell you why it's a complete waste of time, right? And the reason why I'm doing this is because it's very hard to generalize what a city is like, and it really comes down to the inventory and the pocket and the type of asset you're trying to buy and sell in right now. So the reason why I'm breaking down this article and saying it's complete trash is because you can't generalize what each neighborhood is doing. So if you are trying to plan for like your next real estate move right now, and you're not really sure what's happening in that pocket and that type of asset, like whether condos or freehold, and you want to understand what's going on, you could do so by booking a call with me using the link that's on the screen. It's right here, www.chatwithzen.com, or the link is in the description below. Simply click on the date and a time that works best for you. And then when you see the prompt, fill in your name, email, mobile phone number, and the question you have for me, and then we'll chat then. Hey everybody, welcome back to Prime Properties TO. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Zhen, and I run and operate a RE/MAX in the Greater Toronto area, where we help a lot of our clients buy, sell, and invest in real estate, on top of making a lot of these educational, awesome real estate content videos just like this on YouTube for you. So if you're enjoying the stuff I'm putting out there, do me a favor and like and subscribe. Now on this episode, we'll be reviewing the latest article from Financial Post where it talks about Toronto ranks 5th in the world of risk for real estate bubble. Dun, dun, dun. Now, for anyone who isn't familiar with this, every single year around this time, since 2017, which I would say is kind of the inception of this YouTube channel, UBS, which is a company from Switzerland that manages money, comes out with the riskiest cities for kind of, real estate bubbles. And Toronto has always ranked top 7, I would say. So Toronto ranks 5th right now in 2024, and we were higher before and we were lower. So I'm going to go through the history of it and how it's impact prices. But I'm just going to give you an idea of kind of what the snapshot of, like the world looks like right now. So you can see for them, Miami, Tokyo, and Zurich were basically, in red, meaning that it's at a highest risk of a real estate bubble. And then LA, Toronto, Geneva basically were in the elevated one. But one of the things I kind of want to just like talk about, because I've done this for 7 years now, is what is actually a bubble, right? So looking at Investopia, you can see what is a bubble, right? It's basically characterized by rapid escalation of prices, right? And the fast inflation is followed by a quick decrease in value or contraction, or sometimes referred to as crash. And technically, by the definition of a crash, it's 20% decrease in value, right? Now, during bubbles, assets typically trade at a price or within a range that greatly exceeds the asset's intrinsic value. The price does not align with the fundamentals of the asset. Now, I'm just going to take a step here and just talk about, the intrinsic value and away from fundamentals, because I said many times before, Toronto has been outside of the fundamentals, or it hasn't made any sense for a very, very long time. So does that mean Toronto is perpetually in a bubble? One could argue yes, but at the same time, how long can a bubble last before the proverbial crash, right? And that's what a lot of people are thinking, that we're going to have this seismic 20, 30, 40, 50% crash. However, bubbles are usually only identified and studied in retrospect after a massive drop in price occurs. So again, this is saying that it's very hard to be forward looking on when the bubble is. Things could look and feel like a bubble for a very, very long time, and you won't really know that a bubble has happened or bursted, in that definition, until you look backwards or a massive price drop. But the question really becomes is, how much of a price drop from what point, and when do you start measuring when a bubble started, right? And that's kind of the things I want to answer for you guys in this video. So what I did, because I've been looking at these UBS reports like every single year, is I just pulled all the data that I had to show you how Toronto has ranked, where the prices have been, and whether we moved up and down the rankings. So this report has gone all the way back to 2017. I feel like there was one in 2016, but I couldn't dig it up, but I have charts from 2017 and beyond. So you can see in 2017, we were ranked first, and the rating here is 2.12. So anything over 1.5 is what they deem high risk of a bubble. Anything from 1 to 1.5 was elevated, which is where we are right now. And anything sub 1 is like meh, right? No concern. So you can see Toronto in 2017 was ranked first. We were really at high risk, 2.12, which is the second highest point. And the prices were at 744,000. And this is a column where the next year, what happened to the prices at the exact same time. And they went up 2%. So for anyone kind of wondering where they got the 2017 number and why we're so high is because we had this massive run up in house prices, like freehold home prices in the York region. And it went up like 30% in like 3 months. It was nuts, right? So that was the 2017 crash where they brought in the foreign buyer tax, right? And then in 2018, we became third, so it dropped a little bit. But again, prices went up 3%. We became 2, it dropped down to 1.86. Again, prices still went up by 5.8%. So you can see over here, prices keep going up and up, even though we're in kind of that bubble territory, right? Then eventually, in 2021, we went from 2 back to 1, and we're cresting over 2 again. But again, prices were 2 million. And the only time where prices actually dropped down from the previous year was in 2022 when we had that kind of crazy price drop, and you can see prices dropped 4%. But then in 2023, we dropped down to 7, which was the lowest since they've had this for Toronto with 1.21. So very, very low now, but we're still at 1.1 mil. And now this year we're ranked 5th with the lowest rating we've had since the inception of this report at 1.03, basically bordering almost, meh, right? Just elevated, but meh, closer to meh than elevated. And we haven't gotten the data from where the prices are right now, so they're left as a question mark. So what can we derive from all of this? Honestly, nothing. This thing is trash, right? I wouldn't make a decision based on this report. And yes, this may skew the sentiment, but it's kind of like what I said in the beginning of the video. It's just a bunch of numbers. We don't know what their criteria is. And they didn't actually pick all the cities in the world either. I honestly think Toronto's probably stay at least in the top 10 for a very, very long time. But the question that I want to pose to you, kind of similar to when I asked you, what is the definition of bubble and when it's a pop, is if you followed and listened to this report in 2017 and you didn't do anything, even after the biggest crash we had in Toronto after 2017 foreign buyer home tax, right? Prices from then all the way to now are up 33%, right? So it's like 5.5% per year, roughly, including kind of this drop off over here. So are you expecting a 20-30% drop in prices? And if that's you, you're 100% going to stay on the sideline until that happens. And again, my professional opinion is that I don't think that's going to happen. So my question about what is a bubble is Toronto perpetually going to be in a bubble? Are we always going to be detached from fundamentals? And I think the answer is going to be yes. Yes, there is actually some weakness in certain pockets right now, being the condo side, but there's a lot of strength in the freehold side right now. So that market's separating. And you know what the crazy thing in all of this is? In the UBS report, this is actually what it says about Canada and Toronto, right? Toronto is still considered elevated, but the anticipated interest rate cuts by the central bank, Bank of Canada, right, are likely to accelerate price growth in both cities, both being Toronto and Vancouver, because Vancouver is on the list too, as the demand from particular interest-sensitive first-time home buyer increases. This is exactly what we're seeing. We just got that stimulus last week talking about how first-time home buyers can buy more. We just got the jumbo rate cut from the Fed and a likely one coming maybe in October. And we have all these amortizations going from 25 years to 30 years for first-time home buyers, which is, again, demand stimulus. So when we look back at this chart over here, can we stay in a bubble perpetually? Can we still have prices increase? The answer is yes. It definitely can, right? So you can even see by UBS's report, right? We're top 5 in riskiest city in the world for a real estate bubble, right? We're considered elevated based on their index. They still think that prices are going to go up because there's a lot of demand stimulus being put in by the government. So the idea of saying that, hey, Toronto's in a bubble, it's going to crash eventually, really just depends on when you're looking at it and what time frame, right? And really, it's just up to you to be bearish or bullish and kind of understand where things are going to go, right? So the reason why I brought up this whole video with the UBS report is just really just to show you, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't prove anything. And these numbers mean nothing. It's just kind of a clickbait to call somebody out. And it's just great content for me to put out there, right? So I wouldn't put too much weight onto this report, as I've been said in the last few years. I mean, it's just a report. It doesn't really mean anything. For whatever you're trying to do right now, you really got to look at the area that you're trying to buy and sell in and see how that's moving, because that's going to be your biggest indicator of where the market's going to go and whether you're going to be successful or not. Hopefully this gives you a better understanding of why you should be ignoring crap like this online, because it's, kind of clickbait. And if you do want to kind of understand what's going on in your market where you're trying to buy and sell, you can do so by booking a call with me using the link that's on the screen right here, or clicking on the link in the description below. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya. Now that you're done watching this one, how about this one or this one? You know what? Just watch them both.